Hi, and welcome to Tim's Garage in association with Cowlick and proudly sponsored by Raytune and New Age Auto Parts. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to install this HDI GD2 intercooler on a Mazda 6 MPS, or the Mazda Speed 6, depending on what country you're in, and it's going to be massive improvement over the top mount intercooler, and this is how you do it. Firstly, we're unpacking our HDI intercooler kit, which is fantastic, extremely comprehensive and awesome. We actually have two cars in this video. This car is my own, and I'm just showing you how to take the bumper off by removing all the screws along the bottom of it and the two screws and a couple of tabs at the top. Then you pull the sides out and it will fall down. There are two screws at the very edge of the sides, but if you just follow the screws, work your way around, it will come off. Our car that we're doing the project on, and basically to start off, I've just finished draining into this tub, and I put the bucket in another tub, all the coolant out of that. Here's all of our parts. This one's probably the most important. You can see this little coupler here on top, and what that is, let me get that focused, is the stock plate that will fit a blow-off valve. Without that, you're left with one of these. Basically has the other end of that pipe. It's just this round pipe to fit a different blow-off valve on it. So without that part in the kit, you're a bit stuffed, and you'll have to wait. So if you're doing the build, then you've got to wait for this extra part, and that would suck. So we are going to get to putting on this intercooler. I've set up my old computer in this shed just for a little while we're doing some of these jobs. I kind of don't care if it gets too wrecked because it's just been sitting inside for ages, and I've downloaded, because the instructions actually the kit didn't actually come with written instructions. That links you to the website, and this is the instructions that we got off the website. We've done all this, car's jacked up, the front's off the car. First we've got to take off our water bottle. We do that by undoing two 10mm screws and then slipping it out of its holding little connection. Make sure everything's unplugged. There'll be a water hose, and there will be at least two electrical connections that are on that. We are looking at airbox, battery, that part of the engine. I also forgot to say, you got to take your top mount intercooler off, and if you haven't seen that, check out the video there. I'll put it there on how to remove that. So we're flying through this fairly quickly. So what I'm looking at here is, you can see this here, there's a hose there. We're going to remove that. So that we can relocate where this sits, and we're going to move it from there to here. See? And there we just this very gently. If I can do it one hand while holding a camera, anyone can do it. So that's probably not the best way to do it, but there you go. Relocate that hose. So the next thing, while we're in this area, we need to move this counterweight on top. So at the moment, this weight is underneath. We're just going to flip that around so it sits on top of here. GSX, these guys are great, fantastic. They built the manifold that I did from the turbo build. We think they are great. We like their gear, big fans. So yeah, so we're going to unscrew this, put that on top, fairly simple. Because it will not fit in here all the way up, we're just going to cut there, and we'll see if we need to do the top. We're going to cut the bottom of this just a little bit and bend that up both sides, just to give us some clearance. If we can see under there a bit better, there we go. Just going to cut here You can see this is just tack welded anyway, so it's not that bad. If we can just cut along there and along there, we can bend that out of the way and fit our intercooler, which will be awesome. It's possibly not the best time, watch this, there we go, not the best time at night for me to be using power tools. I do try and avoid that for my neighbours, but once you have made those cuts, then just using some pliers or something to bend that up and then give it a hit of paint so it won't rust over time. We're going to knock down our engine mount there. In hindsight, I probably would have taken that off. And if I do this job again, I will be taking off that just to give us a bit more clearance. Now we mock up the intercooler. We put this together but fairly loosely. Now, next we're actually going to drill some holes to mount that. Measure from dead center, get your measurements right, see how far you're going to go. Pull off any extra tabs that are getting it in the way, and we get to put it on. Next, I've got this sensor. This is just a heat sensor by the looks of it, at a guess, and it's actually sort of getting in the way of where I want to go, so I'm just going to relocate that to the back. I'm just going to flip it around the other side, and that should fix that clearance issue. I'm going to put it in, it should be good. So we've just installed underneath the cut. This is the bottom. So there's the bottom stud, and these seem to line up really well with these brackets, which end up being part of the scuff plate, your skid plates and stuff underneath. So we're going to leave that for now. A little bit of movement in there, which is fine, and that will eventually, when we tighten it all up, we'll tighten up these. Once it's all in, we're going to do it real loose, then when we put the bottom back on, we'll tighten that one up. But for now, the cool part is now we are working on top of the engine at last. Time to put the kit together. Small end goes in there, just start piecing it together using your instructions. I encourage you to use them while doing this. Put everything in really loose, make sure that you're not going to commit to something or pushing a pipe somewhere it's not meant to be and damaging it. Using these awesome HDI clamps, just chuck a little rubber end on there, push them together, use the clamps, make sure you've got the right size clamps on each one, they are different sizes, and pop them in there, rotate it around, make it fit. We're now taking off the horn really quickly. We need to do some fabrication. Try, cut it, try again, make it work. Alrighty, we are almost at the tightening up stage of some of this, which is cool. Basically this bit's not bad. Get in further and do that up. That runs okay, pops down here. It's fairly firm through the top here. There's not a lot of clearance, so I do want to move some pipes and stuff a little bit out of the way. That's quite a firm fit, but that's alright. This is all fantastic. The intercooler's mounted really well. This, wouldn't mind actually a bit more clearance here for our relocated windscreen wiper bottle. It seems to be You can see this almost. Wouldn't mind that being on this angle rather than that angle. That's alright, we'll make that work. May just sit out a bit further, but if there's clearance issues, we'll make it fit. Oops, trying to scratch this too much. I've just got these clamps off while I try and push that further in here if I can. Comes up through there, nice, and into there. Very good. We're going to mount our blow valve on there. It's all good. But now we're onto our wiper bottle. This comes with brackets, so there's a bracket on the side we've mounted. There's one here and one there. I'll have to move this sensor because that becomes one of the brackets. Besides that, it's a fantastic kit. On this build, I'm also putting an intercooler water sprayer, and so while I've got the water bottle out, this is the time to mount the pump for that. It's getting closer. This is it's ridiculously late at night. You can hear the crickets. So far we've got this pipe's good. We can do this up, which we will in a second. We're actually at the point where I can probably tighten it all up. Just finished fitting the water bottle. It's on a bit of a lean, but should be right. We've got a bracket up here, runs down to there. Had to use a few of our own screws, get a little bit creative. In there, there's another bracket. The brackets were supplied, but just the bolts had to get a little bit creative. No, that's not touching. That's good. Nothing's touching. You can see here, just there. Added my extra sprayer. Pardon. And we're good. So I've reattached all these hoses. I had to loosen off some of here. You can see there's some air conditioning hoses and stuff around the place. Had to loosen them off, but I'm able to do them back up, and it's not really putting too much force on there. You see, it's quite easy, quite accessible. That will be. Now, before I drop anything in here, I'm going to fit on the blow valve, just because I want that sealed. I'm going to do that, then I've done up these two screws on the intake. So we're going to do that now. Then I can breathe a bit easier, knowing that nothing's going to fall into it, because that's sort of my fear at the moment. So last night where we left off was in here was our pipe with the blow-off valve fit back in here, and it was sitting up here way too high. So what I've done is I've pulled off that valve and measured some markings up. Careful with that, not to mark it. And I've got the mounting bracket here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this, leaving a little bit of meat on there. I'm going to cut this on an angle so that the valve faces where that line is, and we'll re-measure that before we cut across. Then we're going to weld this on to that bracket, which will be fantastic, which will give us the mounting plate to line up with the existing piping, and that will be great. It's a good kit, and it's a real shame to have to do fabrication. The only other option is I did buy an extra long hose, which was the other option, which was there to mount, but it would be so much better to have the stock pipe to be able to fit on there, and it's going to sit lower and neater in the engine bay rather than sort of sitting up really high, which yeah, so we're going to do that. Once again, we've just sort of mocked that up there. Nothing's bolted in, it's just sitting there. Well, it's in, but yeah, just making sure that's gonna fit. Put some little marks in there with the texter when it's on. That perfect. Just the angle and a couple of things like that should be awesome. So let's see what we can do with that now. Alrighty, so
Next we are putting back on our front bumper. A couple little things that we've done. We've reattached our squirter jets, which I had taken off to actually paint them for this job. But basically I've just pulled off, this is the right hand side of the car, which is where the valve was for that, and I've just pulled that out and reversed it and put it back on. So I'll just connect that up fairly logically, sort of where it lies. They fit in together, and same with this side. It's fairly simple. So we'll connect that back up, but also this bar here doesn't look like it's going to fit all that well on the car. So I'm going to try removing that, see if we can make the front of the car fit alright without it, and if we have to, then we will yeah, see about getting that all to work. The next part of this is to relocate all of our wiring harness, which is located here. We've got some wires for the horn, we've got some wires for our lights, our parkers, but we've also got the plugs for the 2 pumps for the windscreen and your lights squirters. We're going to identify those just using the clips to make sure we've got the right ones. We're going to bring back the tape, cut those, solder an extension and run the wire there. We've also, in this kit, it came with an extra amount of hose. So we're going to take that hose, bung an extension on there and run that. We're going to try and run it through the front if we can. See if we actually run it through here so it's all hidden and no one sees it. Otherwise we may need to run it either underneath or on top, somewhere we can sort of tuck it away and no one will notice that, but that's what where we're up to. Yay fun.
Make sure you've always got enough wire to work with. You don't want to end up cutting it too close to a connection where you can't actually reconnect it again. So give yourself a good amount of wire so that you can actually splice into that. We're just going to cut them clean off so we can see the colours. We're going to tape them and mark them, of course. And here we are exposing the wires. I'm using a little crimper tool thing for that, which is great. We're going to, of course, wrap them together, solder, and then use heat shrink where we can. So make sure it's a really, really good fitting. We've run the hose from the other end and we've popped it out just underneath the light, and we're going to thread that through under the light where it doesn't really connect to any of the plastic bumper. We've got the fitting in there. I'm trying to make sure there's no kinks to make sure everything fits nicely. I'm also using zip ties. This next connection had 4 wires, which was a little bit harder to get to, so we made sure we name and numbered everything really, really clearly. And then of course we ran tape over the entire lot once we've threaded it up and through the engine bay so that it was ready to go. Here we go, putting that loom back together so it looks as factory as possible.
We are almost done on this side, which is kind of cool. So the old wiring loom, here we had the 2 plugs, which we have removed, and splice that into this loom here that goes upwards. So we'll probably tidy this up. I'll tape that together and make that it's a little bit more tight. I'm trying to keep it off this hot pipe as much as I can, which is why I've got our squirter. I've actually wrapped it around there fairly loosely. I don't want that tight to cause any kinks. That's all loose. I may even put a bung or something in there to stop that from rubbing, but I don't think that's going to be a huge problem. And then our piping runs underneath there into this, across out the other side, and loops around into the bottle. Our wiring runs up here into the top. We've got a bazillion zip ties here, once again keeping it off this hot pipe. Runs along the top of the lights, and you can see this follows, and we've still got zip ties all the way along, following an electrical cord that's already in there, a multi-core that runs across there, and at the moment we're sort of up here, but we will feed that down through this gap, the relocated water bottle, which will come down. Oh, here's a couple of wires already there, and plug into our variety of plugs, which is great. So that's actually going really well. The hose that I ran in here pops out the bottom there, wraps up, and I've got it going all the way around. You probably don't need to do it as extreme, and it comes in, fits onto this pump back here at the back. And so I cut this wire a bit short, it's only just, so I'm going to add a little extension to that before I put it on there. I'll thread it through and we'll cut the others to length. I really need about an inch on that, which is ridiculous. So we're looking at how to get our blow-off valve plumbed back with the HDI kit. I'm not putting the HDI kit down. I reckon this has been an awesome kit to install. The only thing that sort of, I guess, made me pause was just the length of that. Yeah, that just stuck up a lot. But everybody says that they still fit, which I totally believe. I reckon they would fit fine, and that's all good. I just wanted it to fit a little bit more in the stock place if I could. So what I've done is taken the plate that they've given us, the adaptation plate for the stock blow-off valve for this car, and we've cut it on an angle, we've measured it up, got our indicators and our markers, and we've got them to weld, just run a bead around there. They've done a really good job with that. I can see that it's fully welded all the way around. Excellent job. And so now we're going to fit this, knowing that everything's right, which means that intercooler is basically installed. We've still got to put the front of our car back on, but as far as the actual plumbing and everything, that's done, which is very good. So we're going to do that. Alrighty, so front mount intercooler is on, everything's buttoned up as far as we can tell, and we'll find out if we need to do anything else to it. But so far all we've had to do is reverse this bracket, and we've done the both sides just because that was touching just down here. You can see some scrape marks if I get in close enough to make that fit. We've got all of our washer jets and everything reversed. Our electrical stuff's all plumbed in. Everything's about ready to go. And a couple of plugs left for our lights, and that's about it. So we're ready to put the front bumper back on this and see how it looks. The only thing that we've had to modify from the stock set is that, like I said, it was really hard up down here, and so I've got my brother Matty, who's awesome, to fit that a little bit nicer, and he shaved off a little bit of plastic around there. The extra bit of rubber there is just an old hose just to keep that firm, and we've put a minor dent in the plumbing just to give it some clearance, but that's not going anywhere, and we've just moved some wires and zip tied them out of the way. But the kit's massive, it's huge, and so now we've got to put the front bumper on and the job's done. HDI intercooler, finished product. Thing looks pretty cool. It's pretty mean. Sets the cart really nicely with a couple of other customisations this customer's got, the airbox and a couple of other things, but that looks awesome. It fits in, unless you get low and you see that awesome intercooler shining through, you can hardly even tell, which is what you want, a bit of stealth, but a heap of flow. Pretty cool. Hi, and welcome to Tim's Garage. On this episode, hi, and welcome to Tim's. Hi, and welcomes. Start again. Hi, and welcome to Tim's Garage. Proudly, always pause there. Hi, welcome to Tim's Garage. Proudly in association by that. I'm not winning today. Hi, and welcome to Tim's Garage. Gotta slow this down. Hi, and welcome to. This is not gonna work. Hi, and welcome to Tim's Garage in association with Cowlick and proudly sponsored by Ray Tune and New Age Auto Parts.